Well, I have to put out a common sense video on something here about the markets in silver. Now, I don't really want to do too many of these type of videos to tell you the truth, but I feel I have to because sometimes I think I'm the only few voices of common sense out there. Like, I've never stated, put all your money in silver coins and, bury it in the ground because the sky is going to fall. I never said that. But, at the same time, I do recognize the problems, the debt problems of nations and things like that. There'll probably be some type of global reset. But I just want to allude to something else I've been picking up on, and I've been thinking about it quite some time. Well, a couple things. First off, even in the major media, all the analysts now, pretty much all of them are saying that this particular trend in the equities market is not going to continue to keep going up and up and up. It's, like I stated many times before, this is the third longest bull run we've had in equities in a number of months in the last 100 years. The biggest longest bull run was in the 20s. It ended in the 1929 crash. The second longest bull run was in the 80s. That ended in the October 1987 crash. And if we make it up to July this year, still going up, and I know the markets have been pulling back recently, but still going up to July this year, that would be the second longest. That would actually, it would only be one time longer. Now, the one thing where it's different this time, let's say it's somewhat different, because actually in the 80s, when they had the market crash, that's when Reagan came out with the, I forgot the official name for it, but it's nicknamed the Plunge Protection Team. It's a nickname for it. Basically, if the markets start to crash, the government, or they do things to shore up the market somehow, electronically or by buying this or whatever. But there's an age-old rule. It's like the more they try to interfere in the markets, the bigger the bubble goes. And you've been hearing this a long time. Now, I'm going to point out a couple things that really scream that, this is not, I'm not trying to be like, negative or just, say the sky's falling, because I don't like those kind of channels that play that game. I'm trying to state real reality. One person I don't really like the guy politically, but financially, he's really knows his stuff. That's George Soros. He's been short on these markets since mid-August of 2013. Stated this many times. He's also went even more short in early 2014. He knows something's coming up. He's a patient like a cat. He's waiting for the time to be ripe, and he'll take his kill when it happens, and he'll be richer than ever. But you got to remember, Soros is a guy that made his money by investing, right? The Quantum Fund, along with Jim Rogers, and he's also somebody that came from humble beginnings. He wasn't like somebody that was, of a wealthy family that, I have all these. He came from humble beginnings, and he made his money by being an investor. So if he's short these markets, there's a reason for it. Now, if you look in the major media, there's loads of major analysts out there saying, now for, say, the last 6 months or so, that the markets are getting pricey. Even Goldman-Sachs says that. The markets are getting pricey. The PE ratios and all this type of stuff. There's a lot of things. But you know what's really peculiar about every single one of these major media articles I read from all these hedge fund experts and all this type of stuff? They always come up with all these reasons why you're not going to have a good return over the next 10 years on the equities and even the corporate bonds and the government bonds. You're not going to have a good return. They're coming up with all these reasons. But at the end of the article, every single time, they say, well, am I going to sell? They go, no, I'm not going to sell. I'm going to stay pat because I know there's ups and downs and hold forever, and then it'll go back up again. I'm thinking to myself, my BS detector just went whang, ching, all the way over to the right there, because I'm thinking, these are people that are like trying to tell you what's going on, but really not warn you to move out of taking whatever gain. Say you were in I'm not. I'm in the metals and the miners and all that type of stuff. But the people that were in the equities and bought the equities and say they made all these gains all this time, must think, get the hell out, take your cash. I mean, not necessarily put it in silver, but, if George Soros is short, and he made a huge bearish bet way back in August of 2013, and he increased that bet in 2014, what do you think is going to happen? I actually look at that guy as more important than a gazillion people put together, because not that I'm like a fan of him politically with his, move on organization and stuff like that and some of the things he does, but, as far as like predicting and making the money off the markets, this guy knows what he's doing, right? So, but, even the major media is agreeing with this. In other words, if you followed all these articles by all these different hedge fund writers and stuff like that, and they're saying, hey, we're not going to have good returns. It's the worst it's been since 1948. And this is like, you don't expect, an average return, if you're lucky, is going to be 2% per annum, if you're lucky, over the next 10 years. And, inflation's probably going to go up. But don't sell. But what Soros is doing? He's shorting. Now, I'm not telling you to short it because I don't want to go throwing out, crystal ball advice out here. But, if I had to go long or short, and it was like you had to take one point position or the other, and you could hold that position for a while, I'd go short. But I'm not telling people to do that, okay? But, this is more impetus to have the precious metals more so than even the commodities. I don't know what's going to happen with the base commodities like copper, aluminum. Aluminum actually is in major supply. As a matter of fact, with something like copper can go up a lot in wartime, right? But if there's a collapse, which there looks like there's been an ongoing collapse in the Chinese economy, if the economy in China keeps collapsing more and more, because of all the shadow banking garbage that's going on, it's falling apart, and, if copper is a major fundamental ingredient of the construction boom, which collapsed. And so, this is why copper's been going down the last couple of years. But in the case of a scare in the financial markets, if, where's the safety? Stuff like gold might be pretty damn solid. It might be a totally different animal from, just say, basic commodities. Just put it to you that way. But, it's like the major media is telling you one thing, but their conclusion is stay firm, don't move. Now, the other game is that's going on with this, these bubbles being pumped up in the equities. Well, it's obvious, maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not, but I'll just tell you what the obvious is. It's like there's basically free interest-free money that is being injected, that people are reinvesting, and they're getting big returns for leverage on various investments. So the ruling elite, which is pretty much the equity holders, actually most people in the United States don't even have any equities at all, right? But the ruling elite, for the most part, are driving up the market. What I think is that the ruling elite are going to get out of the market, and you're going to see this major correction. And the ones that are going to be remaining in the market are going to be the upper middle class retired over 65 deal, and they're going to get hammered worse than it happened in 2009. That may be. I don't want to be negative here. I'm not trying to freaking throw fear out here and stuff, but I know a lot of times that's probably the last bastion of middle class wealth. The main portion of it in the United States is with the people over 65 that are invested in the markets, and the typical strategy is, just wait it out, you'll get. And that's pretty much what the major analysts are saying in the major media, but they're pretty much all predicting a lousy long-term outlook. It's like, as a retiree person, you don't want to be playing a George Soros and saying, I'm going to short the hell out of the market and wait and see how long it takes and I'm going to make a lot of money. But, it's probably what he's doing. Anyway, I guess you got to be highly diversified. That's one point. You don't really want to put all your eggs in one basket, just like you don't want to put all your eggs in silver, which was, the consensus a few years ago. Are you going to take fiat? I'm like, yeah, I'll take fiat. I'll take some fiat. I'll take anything, whatever. But I mean, people, when silver was really hot market and it was moving up a lot every day, the whole consensus was, you're going to lose every penny you got unless you put it all into silver. And I knew that wasn't going to happen, although I have not predicted the markets exactly the way they happened. I have a general idea of how things happened in the past, and they always seem to follow the pattern. But, it looks like for the future, the big crash, I hate to say this shit because I don't like being negative, but I'm being realistic. The guy Mark Farber, when he talked about these guys are going to keep pumping the bubble up more and more, it's not that I'm just agreeing with Mark Farber or trying to be a student or something. I actually see his damn logic. They are pumping the bubble up more and more and more, and there's a limit to what the government can do. And when the markets crash, it's going to make the 2009, actually, it says 2008, 2009, but it's actually the 2009 was the bottom of the equities. It's going to make that crash look like nothing. And that ain't cool, So, you silver holders are in the right spot, but we're probably going through some more tumultuous times in the future. I don't want to be a downer on this shit. I don't like playing this game. I don't like, the freaking Illuminati got us and all this shit. It's actually, you got to go back to square roots, old school, and, find out the best method, the most efficient method, to actually produce goods and all this kind of garbage. We got to go back to manufacturing in the United States, which is actually in another, manufacturing in the United States actually has recently contracted. They're blaming it on the weather, but I don't know about that deal, But I'm trying not to put out negativity because negativity is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is. At the same time, I don't like putting out where, everything's just great, and if it isn't, I want to put out reality too. But, they've been predicting this market crash, doomsday crap for umpteen years. But I have to state that the major media is predicting it too. All right, the major analysts are predicting it. Although they're advising people, I'm telling you this again, they're advising people, just stay put. Don't sell nothing off. You'll ride it out. Because in the long term, you'll do fine. In the meantime, George Soros is short. So anyway, but there will always be hot sectors of the economy. There always will be. And if there's more problems going on, I've been saying is geopolitical advance is going to drive up the price of oil and commodities, and we probably see a resurgence in those emerging markets, which look like totally garbage right now. I mean, right now, if you look at all the major media analysts out there, they tell you emerging markets are shot, but they might not be. This might be, you got to think the inverse. When things look the worst, that's when they start changing. And, that might be the situation with silver. With silver, I've heard predictions and stuff from, some of the silver enthusiasts. I kind of peruse some of the crap they put out. I'm like, I don't want to go in their direction, though, because they're too, I don't know, they're too much, they're too out there with the conspiracies to the max, man. I mean, it's almost like, I'll tell you what the conspiracy is. There's a bunch of greedy mofos on the top that want more money, and they're going to get it no matter how they get it. If they got a connection to Wall Street, they got a connection to the government, or whatever, they got an inside track, they want to keep that garbage going as long as possible till it blows up, and you're all cutting each other's throats. It's not like it's totally written in stone. I kind of know how the business world works a little bit, and it's a changing thing. It's almost like an organism that's kind of growing in different ways, and it's almost like an octopus and takes a life of its own. That's how it is. I've seen some of this crap. I don't want to knock this guy too much, but I seen this WebBot stuff, and I was like, Oh, yeah. I'm going to base my freaking fortune telling on web bots. But anyway, I just want to point this out that, it's going to be that we are set up for another damn crash. I hate to say it. It's a reality. It's a reality. And sticking with your physical precious metals is going to be one of the damn best safeties you got, even though it's been a try of patience for the last few years. And, I realize what it is. I'm actually trying to give here not just a pep, well, I guess it is a little bit of a pep talk, but it's like, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not freaking a broker. I'm not telling you go invest with me. I'm not telling you to buy my book. I'm not telling you I'm not trying to scare the crap out of you with unrealistic theories. I'm giving you reality. That's just what the hell it is. So, the reality is the situation is kind of screwed up, and the greedy mofos on the top are going to grab as much as they possibly can until the whole damn thing blows up. And probably the one people that's probably going to get hurt a lot, the most, is the 65 and over retired middle class that, are waiting for, to have all this money in these safe areas, and they might get screwed. I don't know. I'd almost be tempted. Well, I would actually, I would tell people that are actually that are looking for some safety, they should put a small percentage of their money into the precious metals. They should. At this price especially, because it is pretty damn low. I think when there's another crash, they're going to go like QE, like a dragster at the drag strip, and if it's a big crash, and it's going to create hyperinflation, and a lot of that is going to probably go into a bubble in the metals. So just hang on to your investments and don't lose faith in this stuff. I've been talking about this for a while, and I don't really have a crystal ball on every damn thing you're out there, and nobody else does. But what I have is some experience in the financial and accounting markets, and I do realize what the average person of significant wealth thinks. In other words, if there's a crash in the economy, not every sector of the economy is going to lose money. There will be people that are going to be in business, and it just might be a different type of business. You got to keep your nose out for what's going to sell in a depressed economy. It may be not like if it's clothing and you're a retailer, you're not going to be selling the high-end designer clothes. Maybe you're going to be selling more dollar stores or something like that, or dealing in used clothes, or who the hell knows, right? That type of stuff. But there always will be a market. There always will be a market. So keep that in mind, because these people that talk about this complete crash, it's never like that. There's always some economy going on. It just changes and readjusts. It's almost like, maybe I'll compare it to this. When the Roman Empire fell, I'm kind of a history on them. When they fell, they call it the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, but it was basically a transition period to the next Renaissance. And, that's what I expect it'll be. It's a transition period. It's not like we're going to go into the Dark Ages and everything's going to be, the worst going. It's going to be a change. It's going to be a change. And part of your strategy to get through this area of change is to have physical silver. So that is really why you have it, and it's probably going to spike up to some crazy amount that it shouldn't, and get way ahead of itself. And that's when all the charlatans pumping silver are going to be coming out left and right saying, you got to buy it any price. But you guys right now that are actually holding it, you're going to be good, because if you got to exchange a little bit of that for some other hard goods that are going to do you some good, that'll be the time to do it.